The Toronto Blue Jays are a Canadian professional baseball team based in Toronto, Ontario. The Blue Jays compete in Major League Baseball as a member club of the American League East Division. The team ordinarily plays its home games at Rogers Centre, but used Sahlen Field in Buffalo, New York, as its home for the 2020 season due to border restrictions brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. The name Blue Jays originates from the bird of the same name, and blue is also the traditional color of Toronto's collegiate and professional sports teams, including the Maple Leafs in hockey and the Argonauts, the Canadian football team. Out of the over 4,000 suggestions, 154 people selected the name Blue Jays. In addition, the team was originally owned by the Labatt Brewing Company, makers of the popular beer Labatt's Blue. Colloquially nicknamed the Jays, the team's official colors are royal blue, navy blue, red, and white. An expansion franchise, the club was founded in Toronto in 1977. Originally based at Exhibition Stadium, the team began playing its home games at SkyDome upon its opening in 1989. Since 2000, the Blue Jays have been owned by Rogers Communications, and in 2004, SkyDome was purchased by that company, which renamed it Rogers Centre. They are the second MLB franchise to be based outside the United States, and currently the only team based outside the US, after the first Canadian franchise, the Montreal Expos, became the Washington Nationals in 2005. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, the Blue Jays went through struggles typical of an expansion team, frequently finishing in last place in its division. In 1983, the team had its first winning season, and 2 years later, they became division champions. From 1985 to 1993, they were an AL East powerhouse, winning 5 division championships in 9 seasons, including 3 consecutive from 1991 through 1993. During that run, the team also became back-to-back World Series champions in 1992 and 1993, led by a core group of award-winning all-star players, including Hall of Famer Roberto Alomar, Joe Carter, John O'Leary, and Devin White. The Blue Jays became the first and, to date, only team outside the US to appear in and win the World Series, and the fastest AL expansion team to do so, winning in its 16th year. As of 2019, they are one of only 2 MLB franchises that are undefeated through multiple World Series appearances, along with the National League's Miami Marlins. After 1993, the Blue Jays failed to qualify for the playoffs for 21 consecutive seasons, until clinching a playoff berth and division championship in 2015. The team clinched a second consecutive playoff berth in 2016, after securing an AL wildcard position. In both years, the Jays beat the Texas Rangers in the AL Division Series, but lost the AL Championship Series. The Blue Jays and the Atlanta Braves are the only 2 MLB teams under corporate ownership. The Blue Jays are also the only American League team to be under such ownership. In January 1976, San Francisco Giants owner Horace Stoneham agreed to sell the team for $13 million to a Toronto group which was led by Don McDougall and consisted of Labatt Breweries of Canada, Vulcan Assets owned by the Globe and Mail chairman and president Howard Webster, and Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce. The team was to have begun play in the 1976 season at Exhibition Stadium, and would have been called the Toronto Giants. However, the plan to move the Giants was quashed by a U.S. court. Following the court ruling, Bob Lurie purchased the Giants and kept them in San Francisco. The city of Toronto had renovated Exhibition Stadium to accommodate Major League Baseball in anticipation of the Giants' relocation there, and continued to push for an MLB franchise. MLB awarded Toronto an expansion franchise in 1976, along with Seattle, Washington. A consortium composed of Labatt Breweries, Webster and CIBC, purchased the rights for the franchise from MLB for $7 million. However, even after the franchises were awarded, the future of baseball in Toronto appeared uncertain. U.S. President Gerald Ford had attempted to put pressure on MLB to give Washington, D.C. an expansion franchise instead of Toronto. Washington had been without Major League Baseball since the Senators were moved to Arlington, Texas to become the Texas Rangers following the 1972 season. Following this development, there was brief speculation by Metro Toronto chairman Paul Godfrey, among others, that Washington would be awarded Toronto's American League franchise and Toronto would instead be awarded a National League expansion franchise. However, Ford's attempts did not amount to anything and Toronto was allowed to keep its American League expansion franchise. The Blue Jays were approved as part of the 1977 Major League Baseball expansion discussions. The team was represented by legal counsel Ard Solway and Gord Kirk. Kirk prepared the original documents which led to the foundation of the team in 1976. The franchise's first employee was Paul Beeston, who began work in 1976 as the vice president of business operations. Beeston later served as president of the Blue Jays and MLB. He eventually returned to the Blue Jays as president in 2008, before retiring at the conclusion of the 2015 season. Before the team's inaugural season in 1977, Peter Boghossian was chosen to be the president and general manager while Pat Gillick was named assistant general manager. The name Blue Jays came about in 1976, when the team held the Name the Team contest, which involved more than 4,000 suggestions. 154 people suggested the name Blue Jays, and Dr. William Mills, a periodontist from Etobicoke, was selected from a draw as the grand winner. Mills stated that it was traditional for a Toronto-based sports team to have the color blue as its primary color, and following the leads of the Baltimore Orioles and St. Louis Cardinals that the team be named after a bird. Another theory was that Blue Jays was chosen by majority owner Labatt Breweries, an apparent tie-in with its feature brand, Labatt Blue. However, it is very likely that the team would have used blue as one of its colors in any event. Blue has been the primary color for many of Toronto's top-level teams, the Toronto Raptors and Toronto FC being the few exceptions, as theirs are red since the Toronto Argonauts adopted it in 1873. The Blue Jays nickname was previously used, albeit unofficially, by the Philadelphia Phillies during the 1940s. The Blue Jays played their first game on April 7, 1977, against the Chicago White Sox before a home crowd of 44,000. The game is now perhaps best remembered for the minor snowstorm which began just before the game started. Toronto won the snowy affair 9-5, led by Doug Ault's 2 home runs. That win would be one of only 54 of the 1977 season, as the Blue Jays finished last in the American League East, with a record of 54-107. After the season, assistant general manager Pat Gillick succeeded Peter Boghossian as general manager of the team, a position he would hold until 1994. In 1978, the team improved their record by 5 games, but remained last, with a record of 59-102. In 1979, after a 53-109 last place finish, shortstop Alfredo Griffin was named American League Co-Rookie of the Year. In addition, the Blue Jays' first mascot, BJ Birdie, made its debut in 1979. In 1980, Bobby Matic became manager, succeeding Roy Hartsfield, the Blue Jays' original manager. In Matic's first season as manager, although they remained at the bottom, Toronto almost reached the 70-win mark, finishing with a record of 67-95, a 14-win improvement on 1979. Jim Clancy led with 13 wins and John Mayberry became the first Jay to hit 30 home runs in the season. In the strike-divided season of 1981, the Blue Jays finished in last place in the AL East in both halves of the season. They were a dismal 16-42 in the first half, but improved dramatically, finishing the 48-game second half at 21-27, for a combined record of 37-69. Under new manager Bobby Cox, Toronto's first solid season came in 1982 as they finished 78-84. Their pitching staff was led by starters Dave Stieb, Jim Clancy, and Luis Leal, and the outfield featured the young Lloyd Moseby and Jesse Barfield. 82 was also the Blue Jays' first season outside the bottom, as they finished 6th in the East out of 7 teams. In 83, the Blue Jays compiled their first winning record, 89-73, finishing in 4th place, 9 games behind the eventual World Series champions, the Baltimore Orioles. First baseman Willie Upshaw became the first Blue Jay to have at least 100 RBIs in the season. The Blue Jays' progress continued in 84, finishing with the same 89-73 record, but this time in a distant 2nd place behind another World Series champion, the Detroit Tigers. After 84, Alfredo Griffin went to the Oakland Athletics, thus giving a permanent spot to young Dominican shortstop Tony Fernandez, who would become a fan favorite for many years. In 1985, Toronto won its first championship of any sort, the first of their 6 American League East Division titles. The Blue Jays featured strong pitching and a balanced offense. Tony Fernandez excelled in his first full season, and veteran pitcher Doyle Alexander led the team with 17 wins, including a division-clinching complete game win. Their mid-season call-up of relief pitcher Tom Henke also proved to be important. They finished 99-62, the franchise record for most wins, 2 games in front of the New York Yankees. The Blue Jays faced the Kansas City Royals in the American League Championship Series, and took a 3-1 lead. However, Kansas City won 3 consecutive games to win the series 4-3, on the way to their first World Series championship. The Blue Jays' successful season was dubbed the Drive of 85. After the playoffs, Cox, the AL Manager of the Year, suddenly left the Blue Jays to become General Manager of the Atlanta Braves, the team he previously managed. With Jaime Williams taking over for Cox as manager, the Blue Jays could not duplicate their success in 86, sliding to a 4th place tie at 86 and 76. Jesse Garfield and George Bell led the way with 40 and 31 home runs, respectively, while Jim Clancy, Mark Eichorn, and Jimmy Key tied for the team wins lead with 14 each. In 87, the Blue Jays held a 3.5-game lead with a week to go in the season, then lost their last 7 in a row to finish 2 games back of the Detroit Tigers, getting swept on the last weekend by the Tigers. The Blue Jays finished with a 96-66 record, second best in the major leagues, but to no avail. However, George Bell was named the AL's most valuable player, the first Blue Jay to earn that honor. In 88, however, Toronto could not duplicate the successes of the previous season. They tied the Milwaukee Brewers for 3rd in the division at 87 and 75, only 2 games behind the division champion Boston Red Sox. Still, the season had numerous highlights. First baseman Fred McGriff hit 34 home runs, and Dave Stieb had back-to-back starts in which he lost a no-hitter with 2 out and 2 strikes in the 9th inning. In 89, the Blue Jays' new retractable roofed home, SkyDome, opened mid-season. It also marked the beginning of an extremely successful 5-year period for the team. In May, management fired manager Jaime Williams and replaced him with Cito Gaston, the team's hitting instructor. The club had a dismal 12-24 record at the time of the firing, but went 77-49 under Gaston to win the AL East title by 2 games, with an 89-73 record. On May 28, George Bell's walk-off home run, off of Chicago White Sox closer Bobby Thigpen, marked the end of the exhibition stadium era. The first game at the new stadium took place on June 5 against the Milwaukee Brewers. The Jays lost 5-3. In the 1989 ALCS, Ricky Henderson led the World Series champion Oakland Athletics to a 4-1 series win. In 1990, the Blue Jays again had a strong season, but finished in 2nd place, 2 games behind the Boston Red Sox. Dave Stieb pitched his only no-hitter, beating the Cleveland Indians 3-0 in front of a less-than-capacity crowd at Cleveland Municipal Stadium. As of 2018, it remains the only no-hitter ever pitched by a Blue Jay. During the off-season, the Blue Jays made one of the 2 biggest trades in franchise history, sending all-star shortstop Tony Fernandez and first baseman Fred McGriff to the San Diego Padres in exchange for outfielder Joe Carter and second baseman Roberto Alomar. The Jays also obtained center fielder Devin White from the California Angels. These deals, particularly the trade with San Diego, were instrumental in the team's future success. Carter, Alomar and White would prove to be extremely effective additions, as the Blue Jays again won the division in 91, as Carter drove in Alomar for the division-winning run. Once again, however, they fell short in the postseason, losing to the Minnesota Twins, who were on the way to their 2nd World Series victory in 5 seasons. In the ALCS in 91, the Blue Jays became the first major league club ever to draw over 4 million fans in one. After the 91 season had ended, the Blue Jays acquired pitcher Jack Morris, who had led the Minnesota Twins to victory in the World Series by pitching a 10-inning complete game shutout in Game 7 and had been named the World Series MVP to add veteran leadership to their explosive offense. Toronto signed Dave Winfield to be the team's designated hitter. The 1992 regular season went well, as the Jays clinched their second straight AL East crown with a final record of 96-66, 4 games ahead of the Milwaukee Brewers. They also went the entire season without being swept in any series, becoming the first team in 49 years to accomplish the feat. The Blue Jays met the Oakland Athletics, who had the same record as the Jays, and won the AL West by 6 games over the defending champion Twins in the ALCS, winning 4-2. The pivotal game of the series was Game 4, considered by many to be one of the most important games in Blue Jays history. The Blue Jays rallied back from a 6-1 deficit after 7 innings, capped off by Roberto Alomar's huge game-tying 2-run homer off face closer Dennis Eckersley in the top of the 9th. This paved the way for a 7-6 victory in 11 innings, a 3-1 lead in the series, and an eventual 4-2 ALCS series win. The Blue Jays then faced the Atlanta Braves in the World Series. The Braves returned after being beaten by the Twins the previous year. The pivotal game in this series turned out to be Game 2, in which reserve player Ed Sprague hit a 9th-inning 2-run home run off Braves closer Jeff Reardon to give the Blue Jays a 5-4 lead, which would hold up. After winning Game 3 thanks to Candy Maldonado's 9th-inning RBI hit, and Game 4 due to Jimmy Key's superb 7 1/3-inning pitching effort in which he retired 15 straight batters, the Jays could not win the series on home turf as the Braves struck back with a 7-2 win in Game 5. Game 6 in Atlanta, with the Blue Jays leading 3-2, was a very close game. Toronto was 1 strike away from winning in the bottom of the 9th inning, 2-1, but Otis Nixon singled in the tying run off the Blue Jays closer Tom Hank. It was the first run the Toronto bullpen had given up in the series. The game was decided in the 11th inning, when Dave Winfield doubled down the left field line, driving in 2 runs. The Braves would again come within 1 run in the bottom of the 11th, but Jays reliever Mike Timlin fielded Otis Nixon's bunt, throwing to Joe Carter at first base for the final out. The Blue Jays became the first team based outside of the United States to win the World Series. Pat Borders, the Jays' catcher, was the unlikely player who was named MVP after hitting .450 with 1 home run in the World Series. Oddly, Morris was acquired in large part for his reputation as a clutch postseason pitcher, but he went 0 for 3 in the playoffs. Morris, however, pitched well in the regular season, becoming the Blue Jays' first 20-game winner, with a record of 21-6 and an ERA of 4. After the 1992 season, the Blue Jays let World Series hero Dave Winfield and longtime closer Tom Hank go, but signed 2 key free agents. Designated hitter Paul Molitor from the Milwaukee Brewers and perennial playoff success Dave Stewart from the Oakland Athletics. In '93, the Blue Jays had 7 All-Stars. Outfielders Devin White and Joe Carter, infielders John Olerud and Roberto Alomar, designated hitter Molitor, plus starting pitcher Pat Hentgen, and closer Dwayne Ward. In August, the Jays acquired former nemesis Ricky Henderson from the Athletics. The Blue Jays cruised to a 95-67 record, 7 games ahead of the New York Yankees, winning their 3rd straight division title. The Jays beat the Chicago White Sox 4-2 in the ALCS, and then the Philadelphia Phillies 4-2 for their 2nd straight World Series victory. The World Series featured several exciting games, including Game 4, played under a slight rain, in which the Blue Jays came back from a 14-9 deficit to win 15-14 and take a 3-1 lead in the series. It remains the highest scoring game in World Series history. Game 6 in Toronto saw the Blue Jays lead 5-1, but gave up 5 runs in the 7th inning to trail 6-5. In the bottom of the 9th inning, Joe Carter hit a 1-out, 3-run walk-off home run to clinch the series off of Phillies closer Mitch Williams. Only the 2nd World Series winning walk-off home run in the history of Major League Baseball, following Bill Mazeroski's in Game 7 in 1960. Carter's hit differed from the first in that Toronto, while not facing elimination, was trailing in the bottom of the 9th. The home run is also memorable for late Blue Jays broadcaster Tom Cheek's call. Expectations were high for the Blue Jays for the '94 season, following back-to-back championships, but they slumped to a 55-60 record and a 3rd place finish, 16 games back of the New York Yankees before the players' strike. It was their first losing season since '82. Joe Carter, Paul Molitor and John Olerud enjoyed good years at the plate, but the pitching fell off. Juan Guzman slumped considerably from his first 3 years, finishing 94 at 12 and 11. 3 young players, Alex Gonzalez, Carlos Delgado and Sean Green, did show much promise for the future. At the time of the strike, their fellow Canadian cousins, the Montreal Expos, had the best record in the majors, leading some to consider the possibility of the Canadian three-peat in 1994. On October 31, 94, Gillick, the longtime Blue Jays general manager, resigned and handed the reins of the team to assistant general manager and Toronto native Gordash, who would lead the team in its most tumultuous era yet. On September 1, 2000, Rogers Communications Inc. purchased 80% of the baseball club for $160 million, with Interbrew maintaining a 20% interest and the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce relinquishing its 10% share. Rogers eventually acquired the 20% owned by Interbrew and now has full ownership of the team. The 2001 season marked the 25th anniversary of the franchise's inception. Buck Martinez, a former catcher and broadcast announcer for the Blue Jays, took over as manager before the season began. The Blue Jays had a disappointing season, as the team fell back under 500, finishing at 80 and 82, with mediocre pitching and hitting. Delgado led the team again with 39 home runs and 102 RBI. After the 2001 season ended, the Blue Jays fired Gordash, ending a 7-year tenure as general manager. J.P. Ricciardi, then Director of Player Development under Oakland Athletics General Manager Billy Beane, was named the Blue Jays General Manager and was expected to slash the payroll immediately to stem the tide of red ink. During the off-season, the team traded or let go several popular players, including Alex Gonzalez, Paul Contrell, Brad Fulmer and closer Billy Koch, to let talented youngsters such as Eric Insk and Felipe Elpez get a chance to develop into major leaguers. During the off-season, the Jays signed Toronto-born catcher Russell Martin through free agency. The Jays acquired Marco Estrada, Devin Travis, All-Star third baseman Josh Donaldson, and Michael Saunders in trades. The Jays claimed Justin Smoke, Andy Dirks, and Chris Colabello off waivers. However, Dirks, along with John Mayberry Jr., were eventually non-tendered. The Jays later signed Dirks to a minor league contract. Melky Cabrera and Brandon Morrow left through free agency and Juan Francisco was claimed off waivers by the Boston Red Sox. The Jays later traded Jose Reyes and pitching prospects Miguel Castro, Jeff Hoffman, and Jesus Tinoco to the Colorado Rockies for all-star shortstop Troy Tulowitzki and reliever Latroy Hawkins. 2 days later, they acquired all-star pitcher David Price from the Detroit Tigers in exchange for pitching prospects Daniel Norris, Matt Boyd, and Jairo Labort. The Jays had 2 11-game winning streaks during this season. On September 25, the Blue Jays clinched a playoff berth, ending the longest active playoff drought in North American professional sports. They subsequently claimed the AL East Division title on September 30, after defeating the Baltimore Orioles 15-2 in the first game of a doubleheader. The Blue Jays faced the Texas Rangers in the ALDS after losing back-to-back home games. They won the next 3 games in a row to take a 5-game series, advancing to the ALCS. A 3-game comeback series victory had not been accomplished since 2012 by the San Francisco Giants. During Game 5 of the series in Toronto, Blue Jays right fielder Jose Bautista executed what Andrew Kay of the New York Times described as possibly the most ostentatious bat flip in MLB history, after hitting a go-ahead 3-run home run off Rangers relief pitcher Sam Dyson. Bautista wrote an article about the bat flip published in November 2015 in the Players Tribune. The Blue Jays then faced the Kansas City Royals in the ALCS, losing the series 4-2 in Kansas City. The Royals would eventually win the World Series. After the playoffs, Donaldson was named AL MVP, becoming the first Blue Jay to win the award since George Bell in 1987. Upon the expiration of Paul Beeston's contract, Mark Shapiro replaced him as president of the Blue Jays. Alex Anthopoulos resigned 2 months after the hiring of Shapiro. Ross Atkins subsequently took his place. During the off-season, David Price left the Blue Jays through free agency, signing with the Boston Red Sox, while the Blue Jays signed J.A. Happ. On March 4, 2016, infielder Mayor Izturis announced his retirement from baseball. A few weeks later, Brad Penny and Rafael Soriano, both veterans under minor league contract with the Blue Jays, retired from baseball as well. On May 15, 2016, the Blue Jays and the Texas Rangers brawled against each other in Arlington, Texas. The brawl happened when Matt Bush threw a pitch at Jose Bautista, then Bautista made an illegal slide, and Rendodor punched Bautista. Bautista was later suspended for 1 game. On May 31, 2016, the Blue Jays traded for Jason Grilli from the Atlanta Braves. Before the non-waiver trade deadline at 4 p.m. on August 1, the Blue Jays traded for Joaquin Benoit, Melvin Upton Jr., Scott Feldman, and Francisco Liriano. On August 25, the Blue Jays reacquired popular backup catcher Dioner Navarro in a trade with the Chicago White Sox. This was done before the August 31 trade deadline, making Navarro eligible to be on the postseason roster. On October 2, the Blue Jays clinched their first wild-card berth with a Detroit Tigers loss to the Atlanta Braves. On October 4, the Blue Jays defeated the Baltimore Orioles in the American League wild-card game in extra innings, via a walk-off 3-run home run by Edwin Encarnacion in the bottom of the 11th inning. On October 9, the Blue Jays completed a sweep of the Texas Rangers in the American League Division Series to advance to the American League Championship Series for the second consecutive year. On October 19, the Blue Jays were eliminated from World Series contention with a 3-0 loss to the Cleveland Indians in Game 5 of the American League Championship Series. The 2020 Toronto Blue Jays season was the 44th season of the Toronto Blue Jays franchise. On March 12, MLB announced that because of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic in Toronto, the start of the regular season would be delayed by at least 2 weeks in addition to the remainder of spring training being cancelled. 4 days later, it was announced that the start of the season would be pushed back indefinitely due to the recommendation made by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to restrict events of more than 50 people for 8 weeks. On June 23, Commissioner Rob Manfred unilaterally implemented a 60-game season. Players were to report to training camps on July 1 in order to resume spring training and prepare for a July 23 or 24 opening day. The team was forced to play their home games in the home of their AAA affiliate in Buffalo, New York. Due to the pandemic and the shortened season, Major League Baseball instituted certain rule changes which included the use of a universal designated hitter, a runner on second base to start extra innings, and a revised schedule. On July 30th, the league and the union agreed that all remaining doubleheaders on the season would be 7 innings. On September 24th, the Blue Jays clinched a playoff berth for the first time since 2016, and on the next day they clinched their first winning season since 2016 as well. As the 8th seed in the expanded playoff format, they faced the top-seeded Tampa Bay Rays in one of 4 2020 American League wildcard series where they were swept 2-0 in the best-of-3 series.